And now, for the week of June 19th, Adobe Photoshop TV is on the air.
Welcome to Adobe Photoshop TV from the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And here's your host, the Photoshop guys, Scott Kelby, Dave Cross, and Matt Klaskowski.
Well, welcome everybody to another hyper-extended episode of Adobe Photoshop TV, brought to you by the fine people who bring you Photoshop User Magazine, the National Association of Photoshop Professionals.
This week's episode is brought to you by DLO, CDW, Logitech, and the folks over at iStockPhoto.com.
iStockPhoto.com. Well, hi everybody. My name is Scott Kelby, and joining me here on the set, representing the great country of Canada, our friend, Mr. Dave Cross.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again.
And the man barely alive, Mr. Matt Klaskowski.
Welcome back, everybody.
Well, hey, everybody. Hey, before we get started, I just got to say, you guys know I'm a huge Canadian hockey fan, and I just happen to notice that Dave was wearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, a Winnipeg Falcons shirt.
I don't know how you even could consider knowing that. It's amazing.
All righty. Well, welcome, everybody. We have got I don't want to say a great show. We have a show planned for you. We are going to do a show today.
Mediocre.
It's a show of some sort, and I think it's going to happen now. Hey, speaking of shows, that segue, we have one. But you're watching what we like to call the public the public version of Photoshop TV.
Yes.
But there's a secret private version. If you are an NAPP member, besides watching this version, you get a separate version. Now, the separate version is only available to members, and there's another huge bonus. No lame jokes, no advertising. The occasional lame joke, no contests, no sponsors, no advertising, nothing. Is just tip. And it's very straight ahead. It goes kind of like this.
How's it go?
Hi, I'm Scott.
I'm Dave.
Let's begin. Okay, that's the show. So the whole show, boom, we go right into tutorials. So if you're a NAP member, go over to the NAP member website, log in, look for the little link there, and you can watch a secret special episode. But don't tell anybody because it's a secret special episode. All right. Hey, we have brought some stuff. What did you bring for us this week, Matt?
I brought two things. I brought a little kind of a Photoshop illustration. Take a photo and turn it into an illustration. And then I want to show you how you can get a large 20 by 30 inch print from Kodak for like $22. And you do all the ordering right through Bridge.
Sweet. Mr. Crush, you brought some stuff.
Excellent. Yes, I have a couple of things. I have a quick little tip on trying to put something in the background of a photo without affecting the shadows, and I also want to do another in our continuing series on the Photoshop services, this time talking about a place where professional photographers can sell their photos.
Excellent, and I brought something as well. I always go blank at this point. What did I bring? I brought a technique that shows you how to take a snapshot, like an outdoor shot. You took somebody outdoor, make it look like you shot it on a studio background with studio lighting. So that's what I've got for us, but I'm not going to start. No way. We're going to start with Matt Klaskowski. I'm thinking, how about Matt? Matt.
How did you know that?
You just guessed.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
All right, so we talked about what I was going to do here. It's going to be how to turn a photo into an illustration. And if you look at this photograph here, you can see that it's not a very good photo of me, but it is a photo of me nonetheless. And what I want to do is take it and turn it into an illustration. But what I want to show you here is...
Why would you want to do that?
You'll see why. It's very cool, actually. I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to trace around very specific areas, and I'm going to show you how you can find areas of your photos to bring out and bring out the details, just so you don't have to use the whole photo. So we'll start off with here. I've got the layer. I'm going to add an adjustment layer here, and I'm going to choose Posterize. And I'm going to drop the levels down, and you can start to see some of these details along the right-hand side, some of the details up in the hat and the face here. Well, in order to create an illustration from this photo, I don't need the whole photo. If I take some of the details you see here, I can get the same dynamic you see of the body twisting at the end of this golf pose. If I use the wrinkles that you see here, it looks like it's stretching. So if I trace those, I'll actually come out with an illustration that's not just a duplicate of the photo. So I'm going to leave the adjustment layer like it is. I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab the pen tool. And then up here in the options bar, if you see over here, we've got the shape layer option. Just choose paths option right now, because that's all we want to do is just create a path. And then I'm going to start to trace along the light areas that you see in here. That's what this Posterize adjustment layer helps us see. I'm just going to start to trace along the detail that you see right around through here. And as you get to some of these little sharp points, you don't really have to do a whole lot. You just have to kind of click a few times, and it'll get a lot of that edges, all those edges that you see inside there. And now it looks a little jagged. Let me undo here. If you look inside there, you can see that looks a little bit jagged, but we're not going to trace all the little jaggedness. We want this to be smooth. Is jaggedness a word? I ask you.
Now it is.
You're just killing time now, aren't you?
Yeah, so we trace
Start
through
saying
here.
stuff like that.
And just finish up with a couple of the folds in the shirt here. And we come through, finish up the
Now,
bottom.
for those of you who are going, I don't know how to use that pen tool. We did a pen tool tutorial
Yes.
on one of the earlier episodes. If you're a NAT member, you can go to the NAT member website. It lists all the.
And it does.
different
And
episodes
I'll
and where
also
they
mention
are.
Dave Cross did a couple. I did this tutorial on the NAT member website probably about 6 or 8 months ago. So NAT members, you can download this file and you can follow along if you want to see my
And I
face
did
here.
a 2-part Welcome to the Pen Tool
Yeah.
tutorial on the NAT members.
So it's good that we're talking because this is not
And I've used the
necessarily...
pen tool once or twice, and I like it a lot.
So as you go through the face here, and you can see, we'll add a little bit of detail.
You know, you look a little like the goalie for the Winnipeg Falcons.
Why,
when
thank you.
Look closely.
And now we'll come up to the hat here. And the hat, if you don't see detail, you can always just kind of look at it. And maybe I don't see how the light area goes all the way to the top, but I'm going to make it go all the way up top just because I think it looks better. So just come in here, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but finish
I think
up.
it's too late for that.
Hey, now. Finish that up and close the path. There you go. And now you can go through, you can trace the rest of the object here, and what we'll do is we will place very briefly, I'll show you the finished paths right here. So that's the whole image traced, and you can see which areas that I've traced. But when you come back to it, you'll have your paths inside your path palette here. What you can do is just create a new blank layer right above that original one here. And I'm going to set my foreground color to white, go to your Paths palette, and just click Fill Path with Foreground Color. It's the little button right at the bottom left here, and it fills that whole path with the foreground color. So now, what you can do is take this layer and just drop it into, let's say, this image over here. Looks a little bit small, so make sure you do it at the right size, but you drop it into this image here. And when you add all the other details in there, you can see the golf club across. And again, we'll just overlay a finished image of all the other details that I traced here. But it's a nice way to take a photo and just turn it into an illustration without tracing the entire photo, just all the details that kind of give the motion that we're looking for in here. So again, NAP members, if you go to the PhotoshopTV.com website, we'll put a link to the tutorial from the NAP member website, and you can download the file to practice along. And if you're not a NAP member, then you'll see the tutorial here.
Well, thanks, Matt,
Thank
for that Julia Child version of how to do that thingy with the pen
Yes.
tool. That was so easy. I'm not sure Thomas Knoll could pull that off. All right, thank you. Okay, hey, we're back. And guess who's with us here? We have a special guest in the studio, never been here before, from the Winnipeg Falcons. Their goalie, Mr. Dave Krosky.
Yes, sir. So would you like me to do my tutorial now?
No, I'd just like to talk about you.
Okay. I'd be happy to do it.
Oh, well, go ahead. Not sure that you're there and you're all ready.
Well, what I want to do is focus on a situation like this. When you see the image I'll show you in a moment here, it's a photograph taken on a white background. I want to try and preserve the natural shadows, but put something else in the background. So first of all, I want to try and make sure that this part of the photograph is as white as the rest. So I'm just going to use levels. I just press Command or Control L to get into levels, and I'm just going to click there just to lighten everything up a little bit. Now we want to select all the white in here. I'm normally not the biggest fan of the magic wand, but for this particular case it will actually get us off to a good start. So I just selected all the white areas and a little bit into the shadow. So now I'm going to find another photo. I'm going to prove to you that even though you have a photo like this that's too small, it'll be okay in a situation like this. I'm going to select this whole thing, copy it, come back to this document where I still have my selection. Instead of choosing paste, I'm going to choose paste into. And right away you'll see it's looking like it's in the background. If you look over in the layers palette here, you will see that normally a layer and its layer mask are linked together, but when I choose paste into it doesn't do that. It automatically creates so they're unlinked. So now I can use free transform. I'm going to scale it larger, which of course normally when you scale things larger it loses quality, Notice how I very carefully scale it so Matt's head is completely hidden behind the phone.
Well done, I like that.
Which is very important. Now, that doesn't look that great, but what we're going to do is lower the opacity way down to create like a little faded thing in the back. And then I'm going to duplicate that and add a little bit of a blur to this. So by doing that, just create kind of like a little soft focus thing in the background. Now, if you look over here on the side of this, the shadow doesn't look all that great. Actually, I need to do that last. Hold on, let's just take that away because I need to do this first. I need to fix up this side here. It doesn't look quite so great. So I'm going to just take my paintbrush. I have my brush set to 50% opacity, which means it's going to be kind of gradual. And by doing this, I can start to get rid of that little bad hard edge that was appearing there. So it still looks like the shadow is cast on our photo. Okay, so now we can duplicate, do our little bit of a blur, lower the opacity a little bit more. And when we're finished, make sure I can be seen, even though Matt's completely hidden by the
I look better
by
like
the cell
that.
phone. So you can see how it looks like that phone was stuck on top of the photograph, even though we've kind of done it through the back door, if you will, by putting it on top and using a layer mask to hide it.
Very
Just like
clever,
that.
Mr. Cross. Very clever. All righty. Well, now it's time for me. I brought a tutorial, and my tutorial is how to take a snapshot, something you shot outside, just kind of a quickie shot, and put a studio background on it. And what I'm going to do is I want to maintain the original shadow. No, just kidding. I'm taking Dave's tutorial. No, it's a little different. And so here, we're going to go ahead and do it. And look, here's a person here, and she's obviously shot outdoors or on a really fake-looking green grass background. The first step of this is to put a selection around her. So we're going to use the magic wand tool. No, just kidding. You're going to have to put a selection around it. I'm not going to show you how to do that now because it would take too long. But if you, of course, we've shown you how here on previous episodes of the show, how to use extract and how to use the pen tool and a host of other ways to select somebody off their background. Now, in this case, I made a selection of her earlier while you weren't here. And I saved it as a channel right here. Look at that, an alpha channel.
Ooh. Alpha.
Wonder where else they could find more information
Wow,
about
thanks,
using
Dave.
channels.
Wow, good catch there. Well, you'll learn more about these in my book, the Photoshop Channels book. Thanks for mentioning. All right, so back here, we're going to go ahead and load that channel as a selection. There's a keyboard shortcut, of course, but we're going to do it what I like to call the slow way here. We'll go choose Load Selection. We're going to load that little alpha channel. So step one of this really is you need to put a selection around your person. That's the first step. The second step is put them up on their own separate layer. Once your selection is in place, you can use the keyboard shortcut, Command-J, or on PC, Control-J, just puts her up on her own layer. Now, we're going to go to the background layer. We're going to grab the gradient tool. You're going to create a gradient that goes from light gray to dark gray. Well, how do you do that? You double click on this little stop here. And when the color picker shows up, you pick a light gray. Then you go to the other one. You double click on it. When it appears, you choose a dark gray. There you go, something like that.
I don't believe it.
That's crazy. All right, now we're going to go to the background layer. So now she's up here on her own layer, right? So there she is by herself. So what we're going to do is just grab the gradient tool and drag it from bottom to top. How's that? Something like that. All right, so it's not the greatest selection, but you get the idea. Now, what we're going to do is this. I want to create kind of a little glow behind her, like there's a spotlight back there. Grab the elliptical marquee tool, and we're going to draw a circle. Hold the Shift key and draw a nice big circle behind her. And we're going to make this circle very, very soft. On a low-res photo like this one, you can get away with 50 pixels. On a high-res photo, you might have to use as much as 180, 200, something like that. And once it's in place now, it just made the edges soft. So we're going to go to Levels, Image, Adjustments, and choose Levels. Now, we are working on the background layer. Okay, so the background layer is where we're working. You're going to go in here. You can see there's not much going on this gradient layer, but you're going to grab the highlight and drag it to the left. And as you do, it creates a soft spotlight effect behind her. Something like that. Now, it doesn't look as evident as it does, but the reason why we created it on a gray background, here you can see the layers palette a little bit better there. There we go, is because we can make it any color we want now. Let me just drag this off by going Image, Adjustments, and going to Hue and Saturation. Then what we do is bring the Hue and Saturation dialog box back into play and click on Colorize, and now you can make it any color that you want it to be. So if you wanted to make it kind of a bluish or purplish or something, you could go a little over this way. Now, there's still a problem. So now we've got like a little studio lighting behind her, but there's a problem. It still looks like she was kind of shot outdoors. It doesn't look like she was shot on a purple background, I can tell you that. So what we're going to do is this. Go to her layer. Hold the Command key on Mac or the Control key on PC and click on her to to put a selection back around her. Now, that's what you do in Photoshop CS2. If you have Photoshop CS or 7, you would click over here. You would hold the Command key, or on PC, the Control key, click over here. In Photoshop CS2, Adobe moved it over here. Why? Just to mess with you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the little pop-up menu here. I like the way I keep moving the layers palette on and back off. We're going to go to the little pop-up menu here. Let me move this up a little so you can see. And under the pop-up menu, not that one, but this one, we're going to choose Photo Filter. All right, and this allows us to actually either use one of the built-in filters to change the color of the person, the tint of kind of the person, the lighting situation they're in. And this basically replicates the photo filters that you'd screw on the end of you normally screw on the end of your filter, maybe your lens, your filter. There we go. But we're going to go down here to color, and instead we're going to sample the color from the background. So we're going to grab that kind of purple, and we're going to increase the density, which is basically the amount, so it looks more like she was shot under these lighting conditions, something like that. And I'm going to do a little before and after here. You can just see from before and after, something like that. Now, I can see by looking at her that there is a little rim of junk there. The way to get rid of the rim of junk is to go and get the eraser tool. Dave Cross showed something like this just a moment ago. He used a soft edge, but I'm not going to. This way I can carve right into the arm like that. See?
That looks good.
Thanks. That's good. It's a good effect.
I always like to do that to my photos.
Yeah, and it's good. Well, but you can't use really a soft edge brush, right? Because it's her shoulder. Man, that's nice. There we go.
It's also a slimming and trimming.
Yes, it is. Looks like it took 25 pounds off. Okay, do a better job. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch while I struggle with this.
Yes, you are.
But all right.
You've already made us watch
All right.
twice.
There we go. Oh, that's bad. All right. Oh, yeah, how's this? Okay. All right, so there you go. There's a little quick way on how to add a little studio look background to your otherwise grassy knoll kind of background. Man, that was good. Hey, you know what we need right now in a bad, bad way?
A break.
A break. Let's take one. We'll be right back here on Adobe Photoshop TV in just a few moments, no more than 10 minutes. Stick around.
Hey, I sure hope you're enjoying this episode of Photoshop TV. You know, the reason we started Photoshop TV was to give people a taste of what NAP, the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, is all about. And the Photoshop guys are 3 of our trainers, but there are a bunch more trainers. There's lots more training, all kinds of things. You can discover about the National Association of Photoshop Professionals at photoshopuser.com. If you're serious about design, if you're serious about photography, if you're serious about Photoshop, you need to belong to NAP. And this is just the beginning of what NAP is all about at photoshoptv.com. So go to photoshopuser.com, and I have a special just for viewers of Photoshop TV, and that's you get a free extra month if you sign up for a year. Send me an email, lbecker@photoshopuser.com, and tell me you want to sign up, and I'll arrange an extra month for you. That's it. Back to Photoshop TV.
Hey. That's it. Just hey. Hey, we're back.
He was too busy chatting.
Wow, I was so busy chatting with Dave, I don't know what happened. Hey, but we're back from chatting. And we have got, if you've been watching for the last few weeks, and I hope that you have, we've been doing a little series here on the Adobe Bridge. We've been showing you some hidden things that the Bridge does, specifically the Photoshop services. And you're probably going, I've never heard of the Photoshop services. That's why we're doing this very cool thing. It's a very, very cool part of the Bridge. In fact, it's one of the coolest things in the Bridge. A lot of people don't know about it. We've taken it upon ourselves to show you this cool stuff. Matt has got a cool thing now.
So I've got something cool to show you. We're going to see how many times we can say
That's
that this
cool.
stuff is cool.
That's cool, man.
All right. So I'm going to show you some stuff you can do with Kodak here. So you open up your Bridge window, and inside of it, what you want to do first is find the photos that you want to work with online with Kodak. So I've got a photo of Mr. Scott Kelby and Bill Fortney here at Bryce Canyon.
Ooh, that's Bill.
Taken early in the morning. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go under the Tools menu to Photoshop Services. And you can see all these things you can do here with Kodak. Well, one of them is you can order Kodak prints. Now, if you don't want small prints of things, if you're not looking to fill your family albums, there's actually a lot of other things you can do. They've got a 20 by 30 print. So if I click on that, it just opens up the Kodak window here. And now I've already got an account set up. And so it just logged me right in because I had an account set up. If you don't have an account, it just gives you a quick page to set it up, and then you come right to this page. Now, if you look right over here, you can see all the different size prints that you can order. You can get a 20 by 30 size print for $23. That's really not that bad. Now, as you look on the left-hand side, it shows you a little check mark. That means that's the size. That size is acceptable for the Kodak print here. So if I had a low-res photo, it would have a little X here next to 20 by 30 or whatever sizes it wouldn't print out for. And all you got to do is just put in whatever amount or quantity you want of that photo, click on Next, takes you through the order process, and now you can order your prints right through Bridge. So it's pretty cool stuff. Now, that's just probably...
That is cool.
Cool. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if you look under the menu, you can see a few things under there, and you got to know that they're going to keep increasing this as time goes on. There's going to be a lot more added to it. So keep an eye out under that menu, because I find that it tends to update daily sometimes, as me and Dave were talking. Just things pop up.
There's new stuff in there.
Yeah, there is. There's new stuff now. So, so make sure you keep a look under that tools menu. Now, I've got something else for you, and it's still...
Is it cool?
It is equally as cool. So I was in Berkeley, amongst other places, a few weeks ago.
Berkeley, California?
Berkeley, California.
For those of you who are not in California yourselves.
And I was able to walk up to Burt Monroy's front door, knock on his door, and say, "Let me in."
So the restraining order has been lifted.
Yes.
All right, because he has it for a long time. He's not been able to do that. So.
He gets mad when I do that. So I brought myself and our filming crew, which consisted of me, a camera, and a microphone cord that's way too short. And I brought myself into Bert's house. No, seriously, Bert invited me in. And
Sure he did.
I went into Bert's house.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Yes, they're calling it. And I sat down with Bert. And so this week we've got a quick 5-minute interview where I just sat down with Bert and we talked about his creative process behind the stunning illustrations that he creates. So very creative, and he talks a little bit about it. Next week, I've got a tour of Bert's facility, and he does a tutorial for us.
I didn't realize he had a facility.
Bert's got a little
Otherwise
studio.
known
there.
A studio.
A
Oh,
studio.
okay, good. I thought
studio.
facility makes it sound like a maximum security facility.
It
Sounds
is.
good.
You weren't there.
All right.
So let's go check out
Go to the
That
video.
thing. Let's go.
Let's
Quick.
just go
Go to
to it
video.
quick.
Go.
Hey everybody, I am here with Burt Monroy. We're actually in Burt Monroy's house. We're in his living room. So not only did I pull him away from work, but I pulled him away from his studio, and just to sit down for a little while and just talk a little bit about some of the stuff he does. So Burt, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be with you. I take time for you anytime. No problem.
Thank you. So I'm going to start off with a question I think probably a lot of people out there ask, and that is when they see your work, they look at it and it looks beautiful, but a lot of people probably ask, why don't you just take a photo, or can't you just take a photo?
Yes, I love that question. I do get that question a lot. Right on the homepage of my site, I kind of answer that. It's the journey, not the destination, that's important. It's not the picture. It's not the picture itself that I'm looking for. It's recreating that picture. Creating all the different parts, all the different elements. Like a lot of the elements don't even really exist. I'll make them up along the way because my reference shot won't pick up all the details, that little rust along that little screw on the corner where there should be a screw, maybe it's there or not, I put it in there. It's recreating the environment, recreating the scene that's important to me. So it's not the end result, it's getting to that point. There are many different scenes. Some are more challenging than others. It's the one that's going to really capture me that I want to go in there and try to recreate. And that's the joy of it.
Well, good. So I think a good follow-up question to that is, how do you find, obviously you don't have enough time to do 20 or 30 of these photorealistic illustrations every year. So yeah, I mean, you pick one, and how do you pick that one shot, I mean,
Yeah.
because you're about to spend a lot of time doing what you're going to do to it. So you don't want to get halfway through it and figure out, okay, this kind of isn't what I was hoping it's going to be.
Well, that's actually what happened with Damon, because on the average I do Damon's that big, gigantic panorama. On the average, I say I do about 3 or 4 a year, sometimes 2, sometimes more, depending on the complexity and depending on how much time I have. Damon took a lot longer than I hoped. In fact, many times along the way, I felt like stopping. I already had my next painting in mind halfway through, and I was anxious to get into that next painting, and I was getting so bored and tired with them. So it was a long process, but usually they're not that long. The inspiration comes from just being. I don't go out and look for something. I don't go out and look for something to paint. I could be walking down the street, I could be shopping or something, and all of a sudden, there it is. The painting presents itself to me. I'll see something. And if I have my camera, now I pretty much carry my camera all the time, but if I don't have my camera, I'll come back to that spot and take some shots. I also sketch. I will sketch the scene as well, because that way I'm getting the dimensions the way my eye sees them, because the camera is going to have distortion. So I want to sketch so I get the real eye view of what it's like, and I take notes. Like, what is this thing made of? Things that I know that the camera is going to pick up. And fortunately with digital, I can look at the picture right there and see what it didn't pick up. So I can either take another shot closer, or I simply take a series of notes. So there are times when I go for months and not be inspired. I would say the last few years have been very good in that sense. I've got quite a few paintings backed up. So I've got things that I want to do. What takes priority over another is, one, the feeling that it invoked when I felt it, and two, the challenges that they present. If I see something and it's going, oh, this is a piece of cake, I'm probably not going to do it. I'll probably just leave it as a photograph and show it to a friend. Hey, look at this where I was this day. I'm looking for the challenge. I'm looking for something that's going to make me sit there and say, well, how am I going to get this reflection in the glass looking through a piece of plastic, whatever it is. So that's where I get my motivation, is something that's going to really tax my knowledge of the program, or cause me to look for new ways of doing things, which are the things I then get to pass on to my students and stuff.
That's cool. It's kind of interesting, because it's what a lot of people run into, I bet, is they get halfway through a project and there's another one lined up, and you're anxious to get started on it. So you gotta be working on projects that are going to keep your attention. Yep.
My next piece, which I'm working on now, which hopefully will be done for next year's Photoshop World, is it's even got a title already. It's called Lunch at Tiburon. But it's a little setting in a table in a restaurant, outdoor restaurant with a lot of bright California sun. And the thing about it is that it's just a bunch of glasses filled with soda and mustard jars and stuff. So there's a lot of reflections, a lot of glass, a lot of textures, napkins and textures that are going to be a lot of fun to recreate. But most importantly is that light, that strong California sun, so the shadows are extremely sharp, and all the highlights in the glass and the salt and pepper shakers, to be able to recreate that sense of light. That's going to be a big challenge on that one.
We will look forward to seeing it.
Well, look forward to finishing it. Yeah.
Hey, so obviously you've got books where you train people how to use this stuff. You've got prints. People can look at online, or people can purchase if they want. So where can people find out a little bit more?
I would say the best place to find things out is on my site, bertmonroy.com.
Okay. We will send them there.
There's a news and events section there. It tells you where I'm going to be and so on. And
catch you on the road.
Place. Yep.
Catch you on. Cool. Well, hey, Bert, I appreciate you inviting me into your home, and inviting everybody out there into your home as well. So we appreciate it. And
anytime for you guys too.
Good. Well, we'll see you again soon. Thanks.
Great.
So there you have my interview with Bert Monroy. Very, very gracious guy. Very nice to let me in and talk to me for a few minutes. Now, next week, as I mentioned, he gives us a tour of his studio. Facility. And he does a quick tutorial for us as well. So thank you very much to Bert, and we'll get to part 2 next week.
Cool. Well, sitting with us today from the great country of Canada, friend of the Winnipeg Falcons, is Mr. Dave Cross. Dave, you have a tip, don't you?
Well, is it cool? Another in our continuing series of Photoshop services.
Oh, cool.
This one is called More Photos, and the whole purpose of this is for professional photographers, especially people that shoot event-based photography, so either sporting events or weddings or anything where you want to have a very easy-to-run website where you can upload your photos. The people, you can give them a password to access it, and then they can order prints directly from this website, and it works right from within Photoshop Bridge, or Adobe Bridge. So basically all you would have to do is select the images that you want and go to the Photoshop Services menu and choose Select Sell Photos Online with More Photos. Now I've already logged in, so you can see this is what it looks like. It remembers my password, so all I have to do is click on this Launch Photo Manager button.
What's nice is if you log in, it still remembers Dave's password.
Yes,
So
it
the bills
does.
all go to Dave.
That's right. So at this point, it's going to let me now get these images actually start to upload. And when you add the images, you have all kinds of options that are available. You can preview them to make sure that you have the correct ones uploaded. And then once you have it, you can go right to the website. I'll just show you what the actual website looks like. This is the one, this is a generic layout. But at this point, I would give my clients this information. They would go to this part of the website to be able to say, this is the folder that I set up for them. And I gave it a password, which if I can remember what it actually was, would be excellent. Let's see if this is what it was.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it wasn't that. There we go.
5, 6,
And this
7,
is what they would basically see. Now, I've slimmed down my website to show you here, but basically they would look at all the various thumbnails from that shoot, and then if they wanted to, they can say, first of all, they can click on to look at it larger to make sure that this is indeed the one that they want. There we see it there. Let's go back to the previous page here. You can even have options here. For example, one of the options is to have it showing what their photograph would look like if it had a sepia effect attached to it. So as you're uploading the photos, you can decide whether you want to include things like grayscale versions and sepia versions that then when they click on that little option, that would show up there. And the same thing applies for pricing and everything else. It's all the way you set it up, so the options are available to you. And finally, once they say, this is the one that I would like to order, it takes them to an order page. And as you can see here, the pricing is already set up. There's even discounts available, so if they order by a certain date. And these are all options that are available when you upload your photos. There's a whole bunch of built-in templates that are already available for you, or you can create your own and customize them. And this is just a great way for people who want to make their photos available to anyone who is at that particular event.
Cool. Very neat. Well, I wonder if it's time to take things over to Matt Klaskowski in the... Oh no! Oh no! Let's go over to the Photoshop News Center and see who's in there today. We'll be right back, or we'll go to the news. You know what I'm saying?
It's Photoshop News from the Action News Storm Team with Matt Klaskowski. He's rocking the house key.
Welcome back to the news this week. This week's news is sponsored by Peach Pit Press. If you go to peachpit.com/Photoshop TV, you'll find that there's a deal that gives you 35% off of a book and free shipping inside the U.S. So check it out at peachpit.com. Okay, so first up this week, the folks over at iView Multimedia have released an update to their program. It's called iView Media Pro 3. Now, this is a digital asset management application. It works for both the Windows and the Mac platform. So you can go check it out over at iView-multimedia.com. Next, over at Snap Measure, the folks at 9Block Software have developed it's a plugin, and it's not for Photoshop, it's actually for Illustrator. And a lot of our Photoshop viewers use Illustrator. So it's a plugin for Illustrator, and it adds better snapping and measuring controls inside of Illustrator. So looks pretty cool. You can check it out over at 9block.com. Also, Russell Brown's got a new set of scripts on his website. Now, he's got a lot of updates to his existing scripts, but he's also got a script installer. Takes care of all the technical details for you, so you don't have to worry about it. It just installs the scripts into Photoshop. So among the updates are a script that actually changes the image processor script to run the action after it runs the image processing instead of before. So it's been a very well-requested feature. So you can find out more over at russellbrown.com. That's it for the news this week. More Photoshop TV right after these messages.
Strata 3D CX. Design at a higher power. Add the power of 3D to your Adobe workflow. Link to Photoshop textures. Import Illustrator artwork. Render to layered Photoshop files. Create photoreal images. Strata 3D CX. Design at a higher power. Visit strata.com.
We are back, and it's contest time, but it's not quite contest time because I have to do something first. Guess who has a brand new book coming out that's not me or Matt? That's right. Mr. Cross has got a book coming out that's very, very interesting. It's called Photoshop Finishing Touches, and we'll tell them a little about the book.
Well, basically, the whole idea of the book is all about, well, those finishing touches you can add. Border effects, edges, making your colors pop, all of that kind of stuff. And what I think is kind of unique about it is each exercise is completely standalone. So you can just jump in anywhere. There's a visual table of contents that shows you the results. You just pick one and say, page 48, jump right in and do it, and you're off to the races.
Well, very cool. It'll be out very, very soon, but you can pre-order it now. You can go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, which is BN.com, or any .com, actually. Well, everybody has Dave's book, so you can go anywhere. No, but go ahead and check it out. I've seen the book, of course. Matt and I have seen it many, many times because we steal a lot of our material from there. And, honestly, it's a fantastic book. Go check it out. Pre-order it now, and you'll be able to be the first to get it. So,
right.
First on your block.
Now it's time, speaking of Dave Cross, for Dave Cross's Crazy Contest. Dave?
Right. First of all, we should review last week's.
What was the question?
Last week the question was to name a keyboard shortcut that was the same on both Mac and Windows. It had to be one that involved two keys, not just spacebar or tab, like some people suggested. And I'm sure there are others, but the two that came to mind right away are Control Tab, which is the same on both platforms to switch between open windows, or Shift plus or minus to go between blend modes. So either of those, or if you came up with some other one that we thought, hey, that one works too, then that would win. And
well, I would say anything that would use the Shift key would probably be.
Well, it had to be Shift and something though, and that's the thing that makes
Shift
it more
plus
challenging. Yeah. So, and the winner is. There's the person.
Congratulations
to
you,
that person.
Nameless person. No.
So now let's talk about this week's contest, shall we?
Yes, this week's contest, we've got some fabulous prizes chosen especially for you. The first prize we have is a DVD. This one's called Mastering Camera Raw. It is from our good buddy, Ben Wilmore. If you've been to Ben's web blog, it's called whereisbus.com. It's Where is Ben? Whereisben.com. Ben has done a phenomenal 2-disc DVD here. It's called Mastering Camera Raw. And if you don't win it, you can go check it out at photoshopvideos.com.
It's actually I've watched it full through, and that is an awesome.
Oh, it is awesome.
Yeah, it is
Ben's
great.
an awesome guy.
He does it. He explains it very well.
Next is not a DVD, but a book. It's called. What's it called? InDesign. I wrote it, and I don't even know what's this called. InDesign CS2 Killer Tips. I co-authored this with Mr. Terry White of the famous Terry White fame from Southfield, Michigan, where half of the world's InDesign experts live. Go check it out. It's a Killer Tips book. You can win that too. You can also win, of course, the copy that has been here in our studio for 9 weeks now. Can we get a new copy here? The associate publisher. Can we get a new copy of this for another show?
She says yes.
You get a full year subscription.
Now she's giving you a dirty look.
Layers magazine. I'm not sure what you get. It could be a full. You get something plus a 1-year NAPP membership, and if you're already a member and you win, you get your membership extended by a year, and of course that includes a subscription to Photoshop User Magazine. How do you enter, Matt, to win this incredible contest?
It's so hard to follow you when you do that. So to enter, just go to photoshoptv.com, look for the link on the right-hand side, contest entry, send it in. You get to enter one time, do it before Friday.
Before Friday to something.
Before the Friday after this show airs. Whatever.
Right, and if you win, it doesn't matter where you live, we'll send you the prizes.
We will.
Okay.
Now, due to the length of the preceding prize package, there is no time for a question this week. So there actually is. If you look under the edit menu under Fill, you will see it has a keyboard shortcut that is Shift F5. And that was just introduced in CS2, but the question is, what was or still is the alternate keyboard shortcut for getting the Fill dialog box to pop up on your screen?
Hey, this is not only a trivia question, but a tip, because Photoshop CS users, Photoshop 7 users,
that's correct.
They can use this hidden keyboard shortcut.
There you go. So
tab.
Good luck.
It's not the tab key. Let's try that. Okay. Hey, it's at the end of every show, which is now, we give you 3 projects to do between this week's show and next week's show. And the first is going to be, I got a website to send you to. It's called digitalshoot.com. Now, their actual address is digital, the dash sign, and shoot.com. It's one of those ones that I go to every couple of days. It's a great website for the latest in digital photography news, but it's not just a newsy site. They have some interesting kind. I think they do a really good job of choosing some interesting digital photography news. So go check them out at digital-shoot.com. Mr. Cross?
I have a website that I came along that it's kind of cool, actually, strange enough, because it's called The Cool Hunter, and it's thecoolhunter.net. And their website actually says, roaming the globe so you're in the know. And it's just interesting things about the world of design and fashion and art, and just really cool stuff, just to keep up on the latest trends.
Very good, Mr. Cross.
Thank you, sir.
Nicely
My site is actually, it's a public service. So
Public service.
it's a
Aren't
public
you nice?
service. Yes, it's known as the public service segment of the show. And so you want Photoshop training. And we talk about our links here. We talk about DVDs, Photoshop videos, Photoshop seminars. You go to websites. You see all these different Photoshop links for Photoshop training. Well, there just so happens to be a website called PhotoshopTraining.com. That's where you find it all. So DVDs, seminars, books, magazines.
The Photoshop quiz.
The Photoshop quiz. There's a 21-day training course for digital photographers. So a lot of great stuff on there, and you can find it all in one place. So it's PhotoshopTraining.com.
Excellent. Just to wrap things up, don't forget, if you are an NAPP member, there is a special super secret episode of Photoshop TV. Go to the NAP members website, and you'll find a special episode there created just for NAPP members. That doesn't have the commercials and the sponsors and the jokes and the fun. It's just a droll, boring. No, it's just specially created for NAPP members. So if you're a member, go check it out. If you're not a member, we'll see you next week right here. On behalf of myself and Mr. Dave Cross and the Winnipeg Falcons.
See you next time, as always.
And Matt Kluskowski.
Not of the Winnipeg Falcons.
Not of the Winnipeg Falcons, but he's rocking the house key right here every week on Adobe Photoshop TV. See you guys next week.
Thanks for watching Adobe Photoshop TV. See you next week.